Hi everybody, welcome to another video. WBX 400 and the Baleria. This video is a spraying video. It is a spraying video. This is just a quick intro with the WBX version of the W400. I just wanted to show you the difference between the two really. Now this, forgive me, the camera keeps trying to focus on my face, so you can see that the Baleria, which is the one at the bottom, the one that's wiggling around, has 6 holes, and the one at the top, which is the WBX, has 12 holes around the front of the tip. And you'll also see that the Baleria just has a normal tip, whereas here on the WBX you've got, see if I can come back a bit, you've got like a tulip style tip with 3 cutouts. So it's not like the WS and the LS, which has 4 cutouts. This is 3 cutouts, which is similar to the it's the same as the WB version, and it's also the same as the W300 WB. That's got 3 cutouts as well. Now this camera is really giving me trouble focusing. It's about the 5th time I've done this, but if you can see this one here, it's trying to focus on my face all the time. That's the WBX, and you can see the size of the holes, and that is the BA4. That's better. So the WBX, the top hole is a lot bigger. Both holes are actually bigger, but the top hole is a lot bigger. But it doesn't actually mean that, well, it does mean it uses more air, but it doesn't use loads more air. So this isn't sort of like an air hog like some of them are. Anyway, I thought I'd show you that quickly. Now we get on to the spray. Cheers guys. This one's my first time using Waterbourn paint, so I thought, well, okay, let's use a dedicated Waterbourn gun. So the WBX, which I've used for solvent before, solvent base coat, and it's actually quite a good, or very good really, clear coat gun. So I know the gun's reasonably capable, but as I say, I haven't sprayed Waterbourn paint before, so I thought, well, I'll give it a go, and what a better place to start, I guess. So you see here, I'm just checking out what I'm actually going to do as far as spraying goes. So I'm just doing a few patterns with different distances from the, in this case, the paper, with the gun. And I'm just looking at how it actually lies. You can see, you know, it's a little bit blotchy. The closer I am, the little bit blotchier it is. Now I'm using it at 2 bar. If you look at this graph here, the WBX is supposed to be used at 2 bar. The one above it was the 1.8 bar, which is the WB. So I normally use it at 2 bar and it's absolutely fine. So I'm leaving it at 2 bar, which is the recommended settings, and you know, I don't know enough about using Waterbourn really to variate from that at the moment. So I'm just literally doing some patterns to see what it's like, and when I'm too close it looks a bit patchy. Now all I'm doing here is I'm using a heat lamp just to get rid of the solvent stroke, whatever the reducer is in water based. You know, a lot of it's water obviously, but just to get rid of it, to see if what I'm left with is an even patch or not, and it's not that even, so the pigment isn't atomizing correctly, I don't think, if it's too close. So immediately that made me think, okay, well, I need to hold the gun further away, because when I did a couple of patches, if you look at the top there, it looks much more even when the gun is further away. So that's basically what I did. I've left the pressure at 2 bar. I've modified the way I spray, in that I'm spraying probably about 8 inches, 9 inches away. About 8 I would guess. And normally it's anywhere between 5 and 6, depending what gun it is. It's normally between 5 or 6 for the base coat stage. So that was the modification. You'll also notice that I'm moving a bit quicker. And the reason I started moving quicker is because I know I've heard that base coat normally, sorry, Waterbourn base coat normally covers better anyway. So I didn't want to. I thought I'd move quickly, keep the distance away, and see how it laid. And it laid actually quite nice, really. To be fair, they often say with waterborne stuff, you give a sort of like a light coat and then a heavier coat over the top. So that's what I was aiming for. I actually did 2 coats over the top because I didn't have it on full fluid. I had the gun on about 2.5, I think, which is, it's sort of like 60% fluid, I guess. Next time when I do stuff like this, I'll simply do it on the first coat, probably something like 60%, and then the next coat on 100%, and just see how it goes. So I'm sure it'll be fine. But one of the things that, if you're using waterborne at home, and that's the idea of doing this video really, to give you a bit of an idea of water versus solvent for the guy at home. One of the things that comes up a lot is trying to dry the stuff. 18 degrees today, so that's about 65, I think, Fahrenheit, 64 Fahrenheit, something like that. So it's not warm and it's not cold, and it was actually easy with this heat gun. It was quite easily. I mean, I've done a bit of homework on waterborne before I sprayed this, and you know what you need to do is replace the air around whatever is drying, because the air, if it's too static, the air around what you're drying will become moisture laden, so it doesn't absorb much more moisture, so it takes longer to dry, which is why people use air blowers and things like that. Now, I haven't got enough of a compressor. My compressors, well, I've got 2 compressors linked, and they're 140 litres for the pair. And well, if you turn 2 of them on, I've got 20 odd CFM, but I normally only have 1 running, which is about 14.5 CFM. So it's not loads, and certainly not enough to have it, you know, like loads of air coming out over the tank. And of course, the other thing in my sort of environment you've got to be careful of, and obviously other people at home would have to be careful of the same, is blowing loads of dust around. So I use a heat gun regularly on solvent stuff, and I must say that it works reasonably well. So I thought I'll have a go at using that on this, because you're not only blowing warm air, but you're obviously blowing air across it, and it worked absolutely fine. In fact, it worked better than with solvent. It just dried it really quick, and it just worked perfectly. So I was quite impressed with it. As I say, this is the 3rd coat coming up. I did do 3 coats, but in future when I do this stuff, I'll just do 2 coats, a lighter coat and then a heavier coat, and a drop coat if needed, really. But it's you can see how it's sprayed. It sprays really, really nice. The gun is a very good gun. I mean, I've done quite a bit on the W400, not with this air cap. Now, I should have done a little opening part to this video, so there should be a clip at the front which shows you the difference. But basically, there's a tulip. The actual tip is a tulip tip in the WBX, and obviously you've got WBX cap, so it is different to like the Balearia and things like that. Which brings me to the next gripe actually with this gun really, is that why if you get a WBX version is it virtually twice the price of a Balearia? I really can't understand it. It's, you know, it's a classic case of well, I don't know what it's a classic case of, but it's too much money. It's just what it does compared to the Balearia. It sprays slightly differently, but it can't be double the money. I just can't see where they get their prices from. You know, but people like me will pay it, I suppose, and other people pay it. Very good spray gun, not saying it isn't, but it's the same spray gun apart from the tip and the cap. And you can't tell me it takes twice as much to make a tulip tip and a WBX cap than it does the normal BA4 cap and a non-tulip tip. I just can't see it. So yeah, I don't know where they get the price from. So that for me is a real drawback with WBX, because it is then pitting itself against other guns like the Segola 460 and things like that. And once it starts to pit itself against them, you're starting to think to yourself, well, there are very, very good guns out there that can compete with this. You know, with the Balearia, I always say, and the Kiwami 4 as well, the Balearia style Kiwami 4, I always say that a really good gun because it's such good value for money, very versatile, etc., etc. But once, as I say, once you've doubled the price, I mean, these things are about 350 quid in the UK, something like that, which is about 450 US dollars. Once you're getting into that price range, as I say, you are up to the or nearly a DV1, you're up to the Segola 460s, a lot of other really good guns as well, and then you start to question whether it is actually worth that sort of money. But anyway, we are where we are, I suppose. So I've used the WBX before for clear coat, so I know that's going to work perfectly well, which it did. It's a dream. Well, this is the clear coat here, so you'll see what I mean. It's really, really good, as I said before, for creating Japanese type orange peel, which is a really fine. The Japanese seem to have a knack of putting paint on where they get relatively little orange peel. Well, the bike manufacturers anyway, relatively little orange peel, but there's hardly any paint on there. It's such a fine, clear coat. It's such a fine amount of clear. If you ever get a bike tank that's got a dent in it or whatever, and you sand down the edges where you've done a repair or whatever, and you're just sanding to feather everything in, you sort of go through the clear and the paint almost together, if that makes sense. There's so little on there, but to get it like that is very, very difficult. And this replicates it. Obviously, you're putting more material on, which I like the idea of more material, because if you get a scratch in it, you can often polish it out, etc. Whereas if there's not much on there, you can't always do that. You just see me here. What happened was I got when I took the top off, it's only a 100 milliliter cup, so I mixed the clear up, 200 milliliters of clear, and I just put it in the cup enough for one application, and then I was going to fill it up again, and I noticed that in the top of the pot was all bubbles, which means that the clear is bubbling through the top of the pot, which is normally either the gasket gone or some kind of seal gone where the tip goes into the gun, or in this case the tip was loose, so I just tightened it up. But I thought I'd leave that bit in because if that ever happens, if you're ever getting bubbles out of the pot, that's normally what it is. It's letting past the tip and giving you bubbles. So coming to the second coat of clear, you can see the tank is looking really, really nice, and the clear goes on really, really well with this gun, and it's as I say, it's perfect for the Japanese type peel. But the beauty of the base coat, the Waterbourn base coat, was that I used half of what I normally use. Normally I use about 200 millilitres on something like this, and I used about 100 millilitres. It was a 100 millilitre pot on the gun, and I didn't need to top it up for the base coat. So it does cover really well. In the UK, it's actually quite expensive compared to solvent stuff, but I'm still weighing up whether the extra coverage actually makes it better or not. I recently did our car, and I did that with Waterbourn paint, and you'll see on that is just a bumper corner really, and you'll see on that coverage was really good. Like the first time you use it, it just covers really well. It's just more dense, if that makes sense. And I couldn't really say that fault it is the wrong word, I suppose. I really enjoyed using it. I thought the coverage was good, and it just went on really nice. It wasn't what I was expecting at all, but I did have to modify my style, as I say, which is bringing it further away and going a little bit faster over the panel so that it didn't pull really, I suppose. I mean, I don't know whether it would have or not. I haven't got enough experience with it, but it came out really, really nice, and I was really happy with it. Yeah, I mean, I would say if you're doing it at home and you're doing a lot of stuff, cold weather will tell, I suppose. I need to try it in cold weather to see how it goes. But if you've got like a whole car to do, it might not be for you at home really, because you will have trouble drying it, and you're not going to go around the whole car with a heat gun. Well, you are, but it's going to take you for forever. So anyway, first time using it, really pleased with the result, and a lovely finish, which I think you'll agree. By the way, the colours Aztec Gold, Aston Martin AM 9016. John, one of the guys that follows the channel, has got an Instagram channel, and I saw it on his channel, and it's a really good colour. Quite an old colour, I think, but it's a nice colour. But I think you'll see that the WBX doesn't disappoint. It's just a shame that it's so expensive compared to the Bavaria, really, because it's the same body. It's purely that cap and that tip. But you know, there is a difference to it, I guess, and it performs really well. But if you're after like quite a flat, very fine peel, it's ideal. Cheers guys, bye bye.